Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another video. Yesterday we did the AFC South, and today we're going to be doing the NFC North record prediction. Got the Vikings, Packers, Lions, and Bears. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the Vikings. The Vikings last year took the division. They did pretty well last year. They were pretty hyped up. But they lost a couple of games and that lost all their momentum. Like they lost to the Eagles like on week 5, week 6. And they got smashed, I believe, in that game. So that kind of drained their hype, but they still had a really good record. So the team got better defensively. You got Murphy, Devin Porter. He drafted guys as well. He obviously got Jordan Addison to pair with Justin Jefferson. So the season should be better. Dalvin Cook may be leaving. We don't know yet. They're probably trying to hold on to him as long as they can. But let's get into the record. I have them going 11-6. I should compare the record from last year to what I have for them this year. But we're just going to go with it. So I have them losing to the Eagles once again. Knew that one should be a pretty competitive match right there. Jordan Addison probably going to be paired up against Slay, I want to say, right? Jordan Addison versus Slay. Slay is kind of on the older side of the spectrum. And he might be taking a step back this year. I mean, he kind of showed it towards the end of the season last year for the Eagles. But we'll see this year. And to have him lose it to the Chargers game should be very, very close. I think the Chargers early in the season are going to be on fire. You got a healthy team, Slater, Herbert, and you got Austin Eckler as well. Bunch of new weapons for them as well on offense. They have them lose it to the Chiefs. I mean, that's the Chiefs. Lose it to the Saints, and then losing to the Broncos. And I think that Broncos game is going to be a very, very key game middle of the season, because I feel like the Broncos, I keep saying this, I think every time I talk about the Broncos middle to the end are going to be very, very dangerous. I feel like they're going to put stuff together with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson in an offensive team. Have them lose it to the Bengals, and that's it. That's all their losers. And then for my 4 key losses, and for my 4 key games for the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, I said the Chargers game, the Broncos game. That Bengals game should be competitive. You know, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, you know their story. They both played with each other for a while. Both phenomenal receivers. This will be a fun one to watch right there. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins. That's crazy. It doesn't even have a time. That's weird. And then the Lions game, because the Lions, it's going to be realistically, you don't want to lose one to the Lions, you know, because the Lions could sneak up and steal that division if they do beat the Vikings, you know. In any of the games, I feel like the Vikings cannot lose a Lions game, or they're at risk at losing the division against the Lions. And then for the Packers last season, roller coaster of a ride for, you know, the Packers. Aaron Rodgers leaving this offseason, and a couple of guys leaving. Aaron Rodgers, Lazard, Cobb. Who else? Amos. Did Amos resign? I don't think Amos resigned. So yeah, they lost a couple pieces, but they added a bunch of pieces as well. In the draft, they got tons of weapons for Jordan Love. They're all rookies, but all very talented rookies. So I think this is going to be a very, I don't want to say mediocre, but this will be an up and down season and once again, because you do have so many rookies. Rookies can only, you know, do so much. But again, that defense is really good as well. I have them going 5-12, but they're going to be very competitive. All these games I feel like are be very, very close, but they might still end up in losses. But you never know. Like I said, they have tons of weapons on offense now. Aaron Jones is still there. The offensive line is still great, and they added a bunch of rookies in the draft. and they still have a pretty decent defense on that backside. And so I have them losing to the Bears the first game. I feel like the Bears are going to be slightly better in that game because Justin Fields should be healthy, and it's going to be Jordan Love and his crew, whole new crew. Legit, everybody's going to be brand new to that offensive scheme. And then the Bears are going to have, Justin Fields, Mooney, and who's their running back? Herbert is still there, so yeah, I have them taking that game right there, the Bears. And then the Saints game, the Saints I think are be pretty solid this year. The Lions have beat the Packers in what's it called, Lambeau Field. I think they do it again early in the season. If it was later in the season, I don't think they would, but early in the season, I think the Lions do take that game. The Raiders, early in the season for the Raiders, I feel like they're going to be super good. Jimmy G is going to be not super good, but competitive. Jimmy G should be healthy at this time. He's going to get hurt. It's just a matter of when. And you still have some offensive weapons. You don't have an O-line and stuff, but you still have offensive weapons. Their defense is still pretty nice. They should get someone in free agency for the DB position because I don't think they even drafted one. So that's for the Raiders. But the Packers could easily win that game as well. It's just how Jordan Love is performing at that time. I haven't losing to the Vikings as well. The Steelers, the Chargers, losing to the Lions again. The Chiefs. The Giants game is very interesting. The Vikings as well. I have them losing, getting swept by the Vikings, getting swept by the Lions. They could beat the Lions though. They could very easily beat the Lions. The later game they could win. Here's my 4 key games for the Packers. Packers versus Broncos. It's early in the season. The Packers and Broncos to me are very similar. Like the Packers have a solid defense. The Broncos have a really good defense, and then the Packers have a bunch of young offensive weapons. The Broncos have veteran offensive weapons. They have Sutton, Judy. They have Williams in the backfield, and they have the UCLA tight end. He's pretty good. I think he's gonna be very involved in this offense this year. So that one's gonna be a very good. And then that Lions game later in the season is gonna be very important. The Packers could very easily win that game. It is in Detroit, but I think the Packers could win that. And my favorite game out of these 4 is literally the Packers versus the Giants. I think the Packers could upset the Giants at this point, right here. The Giants are probably the more complete team, but the Packers, I think, could really upset the Giants right here. And I would love to watch that game right there. And actually, it's Sunday night or something like that. That's pretty crazy. That's going to be a fun one to watch right there. And then the Bears versus the Packers. To be honest, both Bears games are going to be very important for the Packers because essentially for both franchises, it's a new beginning. It's a new era. You have Justin Fields as the new quarterback over there. He's been in the league for a little bit, but, And then you have Jordan Love, who's could possibly be the new face of the franchise guy. So it's a new era for both franchises. The Bears got a new GM. The Packers have a new quarterback at the helm instead of Aaron Rodgers. So both Bears games for the Packers are going to be very, very important from here on out. And then for the Bears. Obviously the Bears weren't that good last year. They made a lot of moves in the offseason. They got a bunch of people in free agency. Nate Davis, Edmonds, DJ Moore. They got a decent amount of players in free agency. They also got some of their guys in the draft. They got a right tackle that locked down Will Anderson. I have them going 7-10. Obviously, losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Broncos. That Commanders game could be very, very close. The Commanders quarterback is basically a rookie as well, so that's going to be a good competitive match right there. The Vikings have them losing there, losing to the Chargers, losing to the Saints. The Lions game, that's going to be a solid one right there. The Vikings losing right there. And then the Browns. The Browns are a pretty solid team. No one's really talking about them, but They got Deshaun Watson second year. He had a full year coming back after like a 2-year layoff, so he's gonna be pretty good this year, I feel like. And losing to the Packers in Lambeau Field. The 4 key games for the Bears. Obviously, like I said, for the Packers, both Bears game are very important. I have it right here. Excuse me. I have them right here. Both Packers games for the Bears as well are very important because it's a new era for their franchises. So, very, very important for both franchises. And then the Commanders game, like I said, is going to be very competitive. You got essentially a rookie quarterback for the Commanders, but the Commanders are built pretty solid all around. Really good defense. Their offense, they got offensive weapons: Curtis Samuel, Scary Terry, and you got Gibson and Robertson. So it's gonna be a pretty good game right there, I feel like. It says this is like a Sunday night as well. That's wild. The Bears Browns. No one's talking about the Browns. Deshaun Watson, second year after a 2-year layoff, so he should be he should be better, way better than he was last year. You also got Myles Garrett. They also actually just traded for Smith, the guy from the Vikings. So he's on the Browns now, and yeah, the Browns are gonna be a very good team. Obviously, got Chubb as well, but I think the Bears could sneak one out right there. The Lions. This is our last team of the NFC North. So the Lions here. The Lions, did they make playoffs? They were barely out of the playoffs, right? The Lions barely missed playoffs last year. They ended up beating the Packers in Lambeau Field to take them out of the playoffs, but they sadly were unable to make the playoffs themselves. But this year, I feel like it's gonna be really close again. It's gonna be really close once again, but I think they can really do it. So this year, I have them going 8-9. For the NFC in the NFC in a whole, I feel like they're all gonna have nasty records and stuff like that. But it's gonna come down to the end. It really is. It's gonna come down to those wins at the end, and it's gonna be fun when I watch the NFC. And then so I have them losing. So I have them losing to the Chiefs. That Seahawks game is very, very winnable. I have them losing to the Ravens, to the Chargers, Saints, Browns, and Broncos. It's the Cowboys game. The Cowboys game is pretty winnable as well if you think about it. And it'd be nice for them to, and I have them losing to the Vikings. So they could possibly end in a 3-game win streak right here against the Cowboys and then against the Vikings. Those are very tough games, but they are very winnable games as well. And my 4 key games for the Lions. The Seattle Seahawks, like I said, that's a very winnable game. Early in the season, set the tone off real great if you could get a dub against the Seahawks. The Ravens game, the Lions play very physical up front, and they have guys that come up and make tackles. I think that's a good counter against the Ravens. They also have decent corners. Actually, no, they don't. That's cap, huh? They didn't get Witherspoon. That was their whole plan to get Witherspoon. They didn't get him, so it's very unfortunate. Damn. So the DB position is a little compromised, man. But it's the Ravens. You don't really need phenomenal DBs against the Ravens, even though they do have OBJ and Zay Jones now, and Rashard Bateman. And I have them against the Chargers in LA. It's gonna be a fun one right there. And then that Vikings game, like I said, for the Vikings, they can't lose a game against the Lions because the Lions are gonna be right there to possibly steal that division. And the Lions, they need a win. They need to win out. They gotta win the important games down the line if they want to make playoffs. And I think the Lions are gonna be very entertaining to watch this season. And like the drama and stuff if they can make playoffs, because they have no, they don't have the longest playoff drought. That's the Jets. The Jets have the longest playoff drought, but the Lions are kind of in that boat, so it'd be fun to see the Lions make the playoffs finally, and they could probably do it this year. I have high hopes for them. I don't know, the NFC in itself is just not that great. But this division is kind of, it's like in a weird spot. You kind of have two rebuilding teams in the Bears and the Packers, but they still have talent to be able to win games. And then you have the Lions who are on the uprise, and then you have the Vikings who should be the clear victor over this division, because they have veterans, they have younger guys, so they should win it, but they have a chance to losing, and it's gonna be a fun division to watch because there is a chance that the Vikings do lose the division. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's a little shorter, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.